Mike.
I'm John. And
welcome to Psycho Juice Box.
Yep. This is B-Views, and we just watched The Grudge 2020.
Yes. This absolute pile.
I wouldn't go that far.
We differ.
It's not a pile.
It's just not good.
It's not good, but it's not a pile.
It's just...
There's a difference between saying it's not good and it's a total piece of shit that's worthless.
It's so flawed.
It's very flawed, yeah. But it has little bits where you're just like, man, that could have been so good.
It's a lot like the Bye Bye Man.
It's not like the Bye Bye Man.
But it had potential.
The Bye Bye Man is unenjoyable and trash.
But it could have been good
if they did a lot of work.
Yes.
This one they wouldn't have had to do a lot of work, I don't think.
It's just it's something that could have lived up to the potential in it. It didn't.
I think they did a lot of things right in this movie.
They could.
And it reeks of a movie that, it very much reeks of a movie that had too much production interference.
That could be.
I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's what it smells like to me.
Yeah.
It smells like a Curse of La Llorona, where it's just like, hey guys, you know what would be awesome if we just constantly had jump scares. That's what the people want.
And that's
you know
all
what?
it is.
And you know what the sad thing is that it's true. This movie was in our theater for 2 weeks, and it made a shit ton of money, apparently.
Right.
This movie, I think, doubled its budget.
Well.
And it's better than a lot of horror movies I've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, it's something that it almost kind of screams like The Predator with Shane Black, where it's like, you know, like you said, it could have been production, it could have been just a studio saying, this is not good enough, redo it with something that we like, we prefer.
Because there are so many parts where the direction is really good.
Yeah.
And, it wants to be almost like what's his name, Mike Flynn?
Yeah, Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan?
Yeah.
It wants to be like Mike Flanagan,
where... like Dr. Sleep shit. Haunting on Hill House.
And it does really well,
mm-hmm.
and everything looks really good. All of the cinematography in the movie is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It really falls down to editing, and
I think character development is a key thing.
Right.
It's awful.
There are actually some really weird deleted scenes in the movie too.
Okay.
That I've watched that aren't good.
No, it was cut for a reason.
Sometimes, there's an alternate ending where the main character hangs herself.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
So it's like, so this movie could have been terrible.
It could have even been worse than it already was.
This movie has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
And
a 23 audience score, so
I feel like
it's coinciding.
I feel like it's not that bad. It's 20 is
bad.
20 is very bad. That's
bad.
That's why
that's open house bad.
No, open house bad is like a 0.
And that's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what it deserves.
No, I think open house has like a 10.
It does
it
not.
Has much
it does
higher
not
than it deserves.
It deserves nothing.
Guys, if you want to watch the most miserable movie ever made, watch The Open House.
Please don't. Oh God. Please don't go through that misery that we did for an hour and a half.
I can't believe we finished that movie.
Why did we finish that? Because we thought something was going to happen.
No, we didn't. We just knew it was going to be shit the whole time.
We didn't think that was going to happen at the end.
I didn't care by the time it happened. I was cheering for shit. I was just
but
like,
seriously, what kind of ending was that?
I don't care. I
Oh.
don't care what kind of ending it had, because it was bad.
It was.
All the characters sucked.
Very bad.
Everything was bad.
Yeah.
You know, there was one person, when I was talking about the open house on the internet, there was one person who actually defended it, and you know what they said? Yeah, but the main actor was hot.
Exactly. Generation is lost. That generation is lost.
And they didn't even, it had a question mark after.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your argument. That's the only argument you'll ever coincide with open house.
So anyway, go watch Open House.
Don't.
So if anyone's not familiar with the Grudge series, the Ju-on series,
Yeah.
it's a great series.
Yeah, we watched it.
It's one of the strongest horror movie series, I'd say.
Oh, I think so.
It's it's technically 6 movies long, although in America you can only have access to 4.
Yep.
Because the first 2 were direct to DVD, and we just don't have access to them,
right.
and they look really bad.
Yeah.
They aren't bad, but like they're very much like direct to DVD movies.
Right.
And so there are 4 theatrical ones, and this is a sequel to those.
Yes.
Oh, there are 4 theatrical Ju-on movies, and then there are 3 American The Grudge movies, and then this was marketed as a remake.
So this is a remake to the remake to the remake?
This was a remake of the remake.
Okay, so the Sarah Michelle Gellar
this
one...
was marketed as a remake of the remake, but it's not. It's not, but it kind of is. But it's supposed to be a sequel. It's supposed to be the 5th Ju-on movie.
Okay.
Is it? Am I right?
I would think so,
yeah.
yes.
Because they specifically talk about Detective Nakagawa from the first Ju-on movie, and how he talks to him, and he's like, hey, all of this stuff happened in this house in Japan, and she went into that house, and then she came back here.
Yeah.
And now she killed her family in the house.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know where the Sarah Michelle Gellar one fits in part of this.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's its own thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Sarah Michelle Gellar one, like The Grudge 2, and The Grudge 3, those American movies are all in their own.
Okay.
They aren't sequels.
Okay.
But this one ties itself to the mythology.
Okay.
Which I love, because that makes it a sequel. And I hate remakes. But it's also kind of a remake, so I hate that.
Yeah.
I really don't like remakes, because it makes me expect so much more of them. Because if you're going to do a remake, but you make it exactly the same, then what's the point of the remake?
Yeah. I just hate this movie.
You hate this movie?
No. It's just I don't care for it.
I would say it's a fine movie.
It's okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just
fine.
It's average, and that's worse than good, and that's worse than bad. It's just an average film.
Well, you say that, but like Rings was super bad.
Rings was bad, yes.
Rings was terrible.
Yes, I think Rings was much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not
because that was not needed.
This is a much more entertaining movie than Rings.
Oh yeah.
Rings is boring.
Yes. That was just a money grab. That's all it was. Just a cash grab after getting after the money.
So basically, the idea behind Ju-on, though, is that someone dies violently with anger or strong negative emotions, and it creates a grudge. And when people step into that house, they get haunted by the spirits of that house, and they kill them. And this movie has a really weird take on it.
It does.
Because it seems like the ghosts make other people kill people.
Yeah.
And that's very much not how it happens in the other movies.
Right.
And that's where my issue with it being a sequel comes along.
Right.
It doesn't really follow a lot of I don't know. It doesn't really follow a lot of rules or precedents that are set up in the other movies.
Yeah, I mean it's just a movie. I mean there's no other way to put it. I mean it's just happened.
There were good things about this movie.
There's actually some good jump scares. There were
a lot of good jump scares in it.
Yeah.
But the problem is the movie ends up heavily relying on them.
Yeah.
In fact, almost exclusively relying on them. To the point where, because they did a really good job with the makeup and effects, and the ghosts look awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
They're great. And creepy, and they're gory, and
Yeah.
they're gross.
Yeah.
Everything in this movie is gross as fuck.
Yeah, it's grimy.
It's
very grimy.
Like, there's a little girl, and she's scary, and she opens her mouth, and blood just starts shooting out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Like, all sorts of crazy stuff, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But they just make it into jump scares after jump scare.
And that's
after
all it
jump
is.
Scare.
Instead of like a psychological or something, they just keep on the jump scares.
It wouldn't even have to be psychological. You could just have it have the creepy atmosphere.
Sure.
You could let
because that you know it's going to come next. Yeah. Another jump scare. And you expect it every time.
Even parts that don't need to be jump scares are turned into jump scares in the movie. Like there's a part where and there's some weird comedy in the movie too. Like there's the scene where he's like, hey, your daughter's here? She had a bloody nose, but I think we've got it taken care of, and then it like zooms out and the little girl is just like there's just blood spewing out of her mouth.
Pouring out of her mouth. Pouring out.
Some weird dark comedy. Or like when the assisted suicide lady is there and she sees the ghost on top of
what's her name?
Shay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She plays Elise in Insidious.
Yep. And the teacher in Nightmare on Elm
Lynn
Street.
Shay.
Yep, Lynn Shay. Yep.
And like she sees a ghost on top of her and she freaks out, and then the guy's like he gives like this speech about how we purposely moved to this house because it's haunted and like she's on her way out, and I was just hoping that like maybe if we live here, it seems like the boundaries between the worlds is thinner here. So it gives me hope that after she's gone, like she'll still be around, and like this long monologue about how him and his wife want to be together, and she like has this sweet look on her face, and then like it just hard cuts to her zipping up her bag to leave.
Yeah, time to go. Bye.
And there are moments like that where I'm like, this is great.
Yeah. Some of the characters have intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get the fuck out.
There are this movie could be fun if it was edited in a different way, maybe. It does a lot of time jumps. And this is my second time watching it, and I didn't think it was confusing this time when I watched it at all.
If you watch it for the first time, you're wondering where in the hell are you? You're literally.
That's how you felt?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, because you're in 4 different timelines.
Yeah. And I think they did that as an homage to the original movie, because the original movie, it's not like by timelines we mean like this is a story happening in this time period, this is a story happening in this time period, this is a story happening in this time period.
Yep.
Now I think they did that as a reference to the first movie, which has a lot of stuff kind of like that, where because the original Ju-on is episodic. It doesn't have a main character. So it's an ensemble cast where it individually follows different characters. Like it's almost like an anthology where it'll be a little title card will come up and it'll be like this character and we'll follow what they do, and then they'll reach their little interaction with the Ju-on curse. And then it'll hard cut and it'll just be like next person, and then you'll see like how that person ends up, how their story intertwines with that person's, and how they end up interacting with it. And it'll do that like 6 times. Right. And it can be kind of complicated for first time watchers a little bit, but at least it's more understandable. Yeah. And they did like title cards or whatever, chapter cards or timestamps for each of them, or at least the first time we go to those timelines, that it's like 2005, 2004, and I think that's another thing that made it a little confusing for first-time watchers
Yeah.
is it'll tell you the first time, but then it cuts back.
Yeah.
And,
And then you
and
don't
it
know
doesn't
for
tell
sure.
you. It doesn't tell you when you're cutting back
Right.
the next time.
Right. It's like, oh, it's that character now.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, now this character. Which time was this? Because you're trying to get deeper into the story and thinking about it, and then it's like, oh shit, what time?
Oh shit, these people. Or like some of the stories, they're all very different stories.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the other one. It's just that these characters don't really interact with each other as much as
No.
in the original Ju-on. These characters, it's more of like a linear thing.
Right.
Because you've got the Reynolds, I think their name is the Reynolds family. They're the ones that the mom went to Japan and worked in the Ju-on house.
Yep.
So she comes back with the curse. Then you have John Cho.
Yeah, and Betty Gilpin.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have them, and they're the real estate agents who are trying to sell the house.
Yep. And for some unknown reason, they live there.
Well, they don't live in that house.
Oh.
He just goes inside.
Oh,
the house.
that's right. Yeah,
Oh,
but
they have
that crazy kid with the blood gushing.
Yeah. And when he's like, hey, your kid's here, and I'm alone with your kid,
Yeah.
where are you?
Yeah.
Your car's here also.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe I'm a bad person. I see that someone's car is there, and no one's at the house, and like there's a kid just standing on the porch with their nose gushing blood. I think I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm calling the
Like,
police.
I'm done here.
Call the cops. I'm sorry. This is out of my jurisdiction.
Yeah, I'm not just wandering into their house.
No, not at all.
And then you have the Lin Shaye character and
And Barney from Silence of the Lambs and
Yeah.
Hannibal.
I don't remember his name. But and then you have our main character. Yeah.
Muldoon.
Yeah, Muldoon.
Yeah. I don't think we ever get her first name.
Fiona,
Fiona?
I think.
Okay.
That might be wrong.
I don't know. I just know Muldoon because she always talks to her partner and she always says Muldoon.
Wait, she says Muldoon?
Yeah.
Or the partner says Muldoon?
She says Muldoon. That's her name.
As herself?
Yep.
Oh.
This is Muldoon.
Oh.
Yep.
I like the partner in this movie.
I do too. I like that guy.
I like him. It's a shame he's not used more in this movie.
Was he in The Nun too?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Was anyone in The Nun?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I would have...
Tiasa Farmiga's in The Nun.
Who?
Tiasa Farmiga. That's Vera Farmiga from The Conjuring's sister. Jeez. She's in American Horror Story too.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
who she
yeah,
is.
Never mind.
Yeah, she looks just like Vera
She does.
Farmiga.
Yeah.
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 But I think this movie suffers heavily from editing issues.
Yep.
I would say from I don't even know. I can't believe there were people who saw the dailies for some of this stuff and were like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah, it definitely has script issues.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of underwritten things.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of really good parts that aren't followed through properly.
I'd say there's some good parts.
I'd say there are plenty. There are plenty of good parts enough to actually expand it into a decent film. Or at least a decent sequel to Ju-on.
Yeah. Potential. But they didn't live up to it. With all their goddamn jump scares and nothing other than that.
Well, I don't have an issue with jump scares. It's just you need.
It's just a cheap way to get a scare.
Well,
it doesn't build up like Mike Flanagan. It doesn't build up a character to say, oh, this character will experience this and will get scared by this, will do this, and how they mesh with anybody else.
Jump scares aren't the issue. The issue is unbuilt. Like when a jump scare isn't built up properly. You have to have that build up to the jump scare, and the jump scare is like the final release of the of the fright. You have to have that psychological build up to the jump scare. That's why Curse of La Llorona isn't an effective movie, because it's just jump scare after jump scare after jump scare after jump scare.
Yeah.
So like you might get the first jump scare might get you, but everyone after that it's just exhausting, and you're like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wait, here's one.
Yeah, it's
oh.
coming. Oh, there it is. There it is. Touchdown.
There it is. Because I remember we were doing that when we watched Curse of La Llorona. I was just like, man, this is like a really fun story. It's a shame that like there's nothing scary about it, because like they just keep using jump scares.
Same thing over and over and over again.
Like a jump scare, like I think the best example was the one you gave, was Mike Flanagan. That jump scare in the car.
Yes.
In Haunting of Hill House.
The best one ever.
It's a great jump scare. It's built up over several episodes even.
Yeah.
And
it's built up because there's so much tension.
It has meaning in the tension of the scene.
Yeah.
And it's intertwined with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense, and it's the perfect point to actually just get the biggest reaction out of the audience.
Right.
That doesn't happen in this movie.
No.
This movie is not an onslaught of jump scares like Curse of La Llorona.
There's really nothing.
I have never seen anything like that movie. I would love to talk about it at some point, because that movie is...
You're going to make me watch that pile again?
I've been meaning to watch it again, just because
my gosh.
That... there's just something about that movie where it's just like, man, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, someone watched this and was like, man, that's scary, I guess. Or was someone just like, yeah, this is a product, just get it out. How much did it cost? $2 million?
Yeah, please get it out of here.
We can easily make 6 off this.
Go.
Just slap the
Was that a Blumhouse?
Of course it was. Blumhouse produces everything. That's the only reason they would make money. Yeah. Blumhouse has a really weird, they have a really successful business model where they just produce every movie, and every once in a while...
What did they miss? This one wasn't a Blumhouse.
I don't think it was.
No, it was a Ghost House.
Yeah.
So the B movie of Jason Blumhouse.
Oh please, Blumhouse is...
I know.
Almost everything that Blumhouse releases is shit.
No.
Forever.
Hey, Mama was released by Blumhouse. Sinister was released by Blumhouse, and that's early.
Yeah, but think about all the other movies around that time period that were released by Blumhouse. It's like they get 1 in like 50 movies that are good.
but some of them are just...
Watch any of the Blumhouse movies on Hulu. Watch any of the other Blumhouse movies from that decade.
We'll have to invest.
We'll have to hunt down all the Blumhouse movies.
Yes.
Because I swear to God, they've produced at least 10,000 in the last 10 years.
That's a lot. That's a lot of movies.
No, but it's not actually that.
Right.
But my God, they've produced more movies than Takashi Miike's worked on in the last 10 years.
They've done a lot.
It's because they just throw money.
Yeah.
They're like, people will just bring... It's notorious. Like, you can just bring a script to Blumhouse and they'll be like, alright, how much money are you looking for? And you're like, $2 million to $6 million? And they're like, we'll give you 2 to 4. Here.
Yep.
It's literally just, we throw $2 million at a movie.
Yep.
And, because it's almost like clockwork. Blumhouse movies are $2 million, $2 million, $2 million, $2 million.
Yep.
Or like 2 to 4 million.
Right.
All of them. And it's because they're like, oh, well, it's a horror movie, we can just throw 2 to 4 million and, like, just throw a jump scary trailer together and, like, all the teens will see it and it'll make, like, 8 million opening night.
Right.
No one will see it after the first 2 weeks,
but
we'll make up all of our money,
yeah,
like, in the beginning before everyone's like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fantasy Island, that was a Blumhouse, I think.
Was it?
I think so. Actually, no, I think that was marketed as Blumhouse's Fantasy Island.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, but this movie. I just wish could have been better.
It's a fine movie that's disappointing.
Yeah.
And I think
It's average.
I think that's more of what makes us think of. I think that's more of why it has the 20%. Is it has so much potential. Whether you're watching it and you're like, oh man, this is cool. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
How could they expand on that? They could expand on that really well.
Yeah.
And they just don't.
Yeah, it's a typical case of coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this movie is. But
it's better than Bye Bye Man, though.
Yeah. Coulda, like I said, that scene with the opening scene with the guy going across, with a shotgun. And don't even include those young ass kids and that stupid ass fucking dorm or whatever, that house. Just for the jump scares once again. Don't even bother.
I feel like Bye Bye Man could have had a mythology.
It could have, but it didn't because it focused on those stupid ass kids.
Mike, it's not a film, it's a product.
Yeah.
I've been told that so many times.
It's just a bummer. You see all these movies today. Here we're going back to Blumhouse. That could have been gems.
Yeah.
And it's just the horrorness of the writing, literally horror, because it's so bad.
Yeah, and I'd actually
it just carves it up.
I really would be fascinated to learn whether or not, like, how much production was involved, like how much the producers were involved in this movie, because it's just so much.
Right, and that's the thing you
of
really
a
never
producer
learn.
thing to be like, you know what the kids want? The kids want the jump scares.
Right.
See. And that's all they want. It's just jump scares. So just throw a bunch of jump scares in there,
right.
and they're like, all right, I guess we'll just throw these jump scares in, because that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, because like they have the jump scare where they have, well, it's not a jump scare immediately. Like the camera follows her and she's doing something, and then like she does something and there's something right behind her. And then she turns around, and then it's like, bah! And like, it's literally just like she turns around, and we already know it's there, and it just like opens its mouth and screams.
Right. Yeah.
And we're just like, that's not a jump scare.
No.
What is? Or that's a jump scare, but like, why? Why is it there? What's the point? What are you doing?
Yep. Yep.
We just had a jump scare not too long ago.
Yeah. And there's another one. And another one. Oh wait, here comes another one. But it isn't as bad as La Llorona.
There is one that I liked a lot, and that's the one when he's hiding in the closet.
Oh yeah,
like that
that one wasn't
the
bad.
one where.
Yep.
I like it because it's weird, because like we talk about teleporting monsters and stuff, and this is one where we actually see the monster teleport into the closet, because he's sitting there and we see her appear and then go at him.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I almost don't fully consider it a jump scare, because like they just pop up and they don't do the jump scare thing, and then they do the jump scare thing.
And then the the horrifying music comes, and then
I think we need to retire certain scores from horror movies.
It's just the same shit.
And I think we need to stop using sharp jump scare music for false jump scares.
Yeah.
Because that's not okay.
No. You have the fake build up, and then nothing happens, and then.
I liked it in some of the older movies. They did it really effectively, where it had like that swell in the music, and then it would just cut off.
Yeah.
And it was like, dun.
Yeah. You were expecting something, and then nothing happened. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean that's.
I don't think it deserves 20%.
40.
I'd
40.
say that's better.
40 or 50. 45 to 50.
40 to 50.
Yeah. Right in between there.
It could be good.
Yep.
If I had to pick any Ju-on movie to watch, it would not be this
No.
one.
Oh, hell no.
Probably.
The original.
I'd probably say 2. I think 2 is my favorite one.
1 and 2, and then just don't even bother watching the American ones.
Yeah.
Don't.
The Grudge, the first one with Sarah
just,
Michelle Gellar is alright.
Yeah.
But
It's just such a rip-off.
I mean, it's a remake.
I
What do you
know, but
want?
it's a rip-off. It's a cheap rip-off.
It's a remake with hot American actors.
Oh, well, of course,
popular
yeah.
at
You
the
gotta.
time.
Of course, you have to have a babe in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, and it's an American movie, so you have to have a main character.
Yeah. Of course.
Isn't Bill Paxton in that movie? Or Bill Pullman?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I saw that opening night when I was a young kid, and I haven't seen it since.
It's been a while since I watched that one too. We should probably watch that at some point, huh?
Oh.
You know what I want to watch? The Grudge 3.
You know what I want to watch?
Hmm.
A movie that's written perfectly, that captures a jump scare emotionally, psychologically, physically, is Hereditary. Where it just builds and builds and builds. The tension, the misery.
Yeah.
The director should take some points from Ari Aster.
Ari Aster is a very...
Mike Flanagan and Ari Aster, are you kidding me? And Jordan Peele, we're in a legendary time right now.
What about what's his name? The other one, the one that
Steven
did
Spielberg?
The Lighthouse. Although I'm the only one in our group who likes The Lighthouse.
Yeah, he did the Vavitch too.
Yeah, the Vavitch.
What the hell's his name?
I don't remember. He's good though. Yeah. I like him.
He kind of reminds me of the guy who did The Ritual too.
He's so meticulous as a director, and I love it.
I hate the English. If the English was more.
I need to rewatch The Witch because I hated it the first time.
Oh, I hated that movie.
Thank
God for captions for both of those movies, Lighthouse and The Vavitch.
Oh, but I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Lighthouse is great. That monologue that Willem Dafoe does.
Huh?
Willem Dafoe's great.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe is a treasure.
He's great. From Appleton.
Yep. That dude's a treasure.
Yep.
Man, that's how weird this movie was. That we're comparing it to movies that are much better.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you want to learn how to make a good movie, you take your time, you don't listen to the fucking producers, and there you go.
It's different though. Like, if you're working for, I guess, Ghost House or Blumhouse or something, you don't have the choice whether or not to listen to
work for A24.
Sam Raimi produced this movie, and you know what? I actually see his production in it. I think he might have been an active producer in it, because I think that's where a lot of, like, the ghost design came from. Where he was like, you know what would be cool, though, is if they looked like this, and it looked like something out of the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
That I just pieced it together. Because I was just like, I swear I've seen special effects like this before, and I'm like, damn it, it's Drag Me to Hell and Evil Dead.
Yeah, because that just exactly reminded me of Drag Me to Hell.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It looks like when the old woman is like bleeding out of her mouth and stuff. And
bleeding out of her eye. Yeah.
That's exactly what the blood and the type of gore that it looked like.
Yeah. Shame on Sam Raimi for producing such a piece of crap. What the hell, man?
I don't know. I feel like...
What the hell, man? Yeah, fucking write it again. Here we go again.
Sam Raimi produced a lot of good stuff.
I know, but this is not one.
I think this could have been one, though.
It could have been. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
You know what? Sam Raimi could have directed this well. No, maybe not. I don't think anyone could have directed
don't
this
touch
script.
it. Don't touch it. Don't even touch it if you're Sam Raimi. And I know he wouldn't. He wouldn't touch it.
That's why he produced it.
Yeah, he's basically an assistant producer, I bet. Yeah, he may be a producer.
He was billed as first producer. There were 3 producers on this movie.
He was on the back. He's like, alright, I'll create your creatures.
But
leave me alone.
I feel like Sam Raimi isn't like a Steven Spielberg as a producer, because I feel like Steven Spielberg will just slap his name on things and he'll be like, I don't even need to go on set. Just do whatever you want. J.J. Abrams, fine, whatever. J.J. Abrams, I think, has the same approach where he just doesn't care.
No.
I think J.J. Abrams doesn't care about anything, though.
No, probably not. No, he does. He cares about money. That's what he cares about. He slaps his name on big fucking movies like that Gem Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I think that...
The Force Awakens.
I think the Rise of Skywalker might be the worst movie I've seen in the last year and a half. In the last 12 months.
Oh my god. This is so much worse. This this movie we watched tonight was so much worse.
No, it was not. You're out of your mind. It was worse than Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker isn't even a movie, Mike.
Come on. Come on.
It
ended the trilogy. It's done.
Did it?
It's done. It's finally done. That horrible trilogy is finally done.
It ended the trilogy in the sense that we put something into theater and put 9 on it.
Yeah. Just get done with it. Please, move on to something else.
They could have just recorded just like spaceship explosions in space and then just put Star Wars 9. I hope it's good. just thrown it into theaters. It would have made $800 billion. And they're like, look at how great our film is.
That's the end.
Oh wait, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as the Game of Thrones ending.
Star Wars Episode 9, spaceship explosions
I bet you
$10
that J.J. Abrams was an executive producer of season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Oh, that's just because those guys suck at writing.
Yeah, David Dan.
And I fucking called it.
Yeah.
And then season 5, and everyone was like, "No, they're great. Did you see?"
No,
and
they're
like,
not.
No, they're
not.
Ever since they ran out of books, they don't know what they're doing.
George is no longer in charge. Look at David Dan. They suck.
Look at all these people who have no idea what they're doing and thought they did.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part, is just watching all these people be like, "Wait, I thought they were good."
No, fuck you, David Dan. Hope you die.
Jesus.
I'm kidding. No, but they suck. They really suck. George needs to produce that. Pump out that 6th book. It's quarantine. Come on. Jesus Christ.
Stop working.
If you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it.
I mean, at some point he'll die. And
Yeah,
just
it'll be just like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That guy never finished it because he died.
I mean, but every other author is writing the books now.
Yeah, they suck. They're terrible.
Who cares?
Yeah, well, you want a good story.
Mike, you just slap the name on it, and then it sells a bunch of copies.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams is going to write it. That's who's going to write it.
You're missing how this works. You're missing how this works. This is what I was told in a film class by another student, by the way, where he said, well, a film isn't art, it's a product. And he was like, so obviously the best-selling film would be the best film. So the best movie ever made is obviously Avengers: Infinity War.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. As Martin Scorsese perfectly stated, those aren't films.
Yeah,
those aren't films.
I think
they're crap.
I think I hate them.
Yeah, because you always said you didn't like them. Then you go watch them.
I like some.
And then you're like, I didn't like it, Mike.
I didn't like Infinity War.
Yeah, you didn't like. What the hell was that one that was like 8.5 hours long in the theater without any break? Make sure you had to take a piss before it.
Oh, was that Endgame?
I don't know. That one was 3.5 hours long.
Because Endgame I liked, but I think it's because it ended.
Yeah. That was the one with Thor as a fat guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
There was some fun stuff.
Yeah.
As a comic book guy, I hate a lot of those movies.
Yeah.
I think they're dull and uninteresting,
yeah.
and they take a lot of the stuff that's fun about the comics and get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie kind of does the same thing.
Oh, 100%. It waters it down and takes a piss out of it.
Dude, in Ju-On 2, there is literally a part where there is a pregnant woman, and Kayako, our main villain woman, infects the
Now, which one is that on your shirt?
This one.
Okay.
I'm having troubles. This one.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Because this one has the well, so that's Sadako.
Okay.
From Ringu.
Yep.
But this is Kayako.
Okay.
So she infects the baby, or possesses the baby, and there's a scene where she's up on the stirrups, and Kayako literally births herself out of her.
That's awesome.
Just a full-grown woman just comes out of her, and I'm like...
See? Now, what is that called? That's called originality and writing.
Batshit crazy, and I love it.
It's originality. Who would have ever thought of doing that?
Most people in America would be like, "Oh my
God,
would
not.
I
don't know if that would honestly pass in America.
No, because
Hereditary and Midsummer barely passed.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're indie films.
That movie passed with like R rating in Japan.
Yeah, that would be NC-17 there.
Actually, I don't think it even has an R rating. I think it might be like almost PG-13.
With that,
yeah.
woo!
They don't show any nudity because it's like all covered up by gowns and you know like birthing stuff. But it's still the visual of it happening, and she's just crawling out and like.
Yeah. See, that's originality. This, no. This has jump scares. Has that.
It had so much like Mike Flanagan and so many Mike Flanagan inspired shots though.
It didn't succeed.
And I really don't think that this movie should have had that necessarily.
I don't think it should have existed.
I do. I think this movie should have existed in a better form.
Yeah.
You can
more polished form.
Yeah, more polished.
Somebody who actually knew what they're doing.
Some artists or some...
Ari Aster. Somebody who takes after that type of
I don't want
creed.
Ari Aster to make a Ju-on movie.
Oh, Ari Aster. Great.
Ari Aster does...
Because, you know why? Because it would be like 3 hours long. Like Midsommar. It'd be like an acid trip.
I love Midsommar. That's such a weird movie.
Oh, it's so great.
It's out of control.
Oh, it's so great. It's so uncomfortable.
I didn't find it uncomfortable. It was a weird, fun horror movie that I was, like, cheering at the end
Come on, you didn't feel bad for the guy?
No, why would I?
Oh, the guy was just tripping on hardcore LSD, and then the guy just slapped him.
That was the best scene in the movie. He's just like...
Oh, my God.
And he's just like... Why would you do that? Oh man. I don't think Ari Aster would make a good Ju-on movie though.
Yeah, I think he would make anything good.
I don't think so. He has a very specific direction style that I don't think would mesh well into that type of film. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah. It's more psychological than anything.
Yeah. He does a lot of psychological horror, and what you really need to do is, like, supernatural style horror. You could do that, but it wouldn't feel like a Ju-on movie, and I feel like it would end up falling short.
Or just, like I said, somebody who knows how to write.
It would almost be like this, I think, where there are a lot of...
Or take, like, a
there's
small
a lot
company.
of good stuff in here, it's just, you know, it fell flat.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to budget it to a big company. You know, you do A24 Productions or something small. Yeah.
Or, you know, they could get like a lot of like people who worked on the original.
Yeah.
Like they just made a Ju-on movie called Sadako versus Kayako.
Yeah.
Which, like, I wouldn't call it a great film, but it is one of the most fun movies I have ever watched.
Yeah, it's batshit.
It's definitely the best, like, versus movie I've seen.
Yeah, it's batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they're fun characters that we get to know.
Yeah.
And it has room for the fight. What people are all like, oh, they don't fight until the end. I don't give a fuck, because everything up until that point is so fun.
Yeah.
And we still see both of them doing their thing.
That's what you're seeing in monster fighting movies. Look at Freddy vs. Jason. They don't fight till the end.
Well, they fight 3 times, I thought, in that movie.
Oh, yeah, but I mean in terms
but that
of
movie's
real...
terrible.
Yeah, it's not a good movie. It's awful.
It's a horrible movie, and nobody wants to watch it.
See, that's another American movie that sucks because of the writing.
That movie sucks because of the special effects.
Everything.
Who uses CG blood?
I mean, come on. Kane Hodder.
Get your shit together.
Kane Hodder was needed. You had a Robert Englund. You need Kane Hodder. Sorry, Kurt. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but this is The Grudge.
This is The Grudge. I think I'll recommend it. I'd say give it a watch if you like Ju-on.
Rent it.
I'd say give it a watch if you like the Ju-on movies.
Yeah.
If you don't like the Ju-on movies, there's no reason for you to watch this, really.
Right. Rent it at Redbox.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it though, if you really like Sam Raimi's like production style, watch this. If you liked the Evil Dead remake and you want to watch that.
Yeah, but that had a good story.
If you want something like that, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
Then watch this.
Yeah. 4 out of 10.
I don't know about a number, but I'd say I'd recommend it for those specific people.
Red box. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, but this is B-Views. Recycled Juice Box.
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
Yep.
Yeah. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yeah. Bye.
Alright, take care.